everyone! Pineapple here with the next of the Fear Street franchise, the second of the initial trilogy, Fear Street Part 2, 1978. Last time we were in 1994, established the town dynamics, and after a spasming music muscle and awkward banging, we got some real solid slasher moments, but it wasn't the best in the series. This movie is a much smoother ride, even if half the third act is spoiled by last time's Next Time trailer, giving away almost as much as the previously on trailer. We start properly getting a nice look at C. Berman's living situation, giving Final Destination vibes as her life is dictated by timers and safety measures. C. Berman being played now by Gillian Jacobs, well known for playing Britta on Community.
Somebody tell Britta what an analogy is.
I know what it is. It's like a thought with another thought's hat on.
As we know from the last film, she is a survivor of one of the previous massacres, a Friday the 13th summer camp styled one, and her younger counterpart is played by another Stranger Things actor, Sadie Sink, thankfully getting a much larger role than Maya Hawke. Much like Sam in the first film, there is a bit of misdirection. Her sister, played by One Piece's live-action Nami, Emily Rudd, playing Cindy Berman. And since C. Berman went by the nickname Ziggy when younger, we're meant to think she's Cindy instead. But I'm not gonna lie, I just auto-assumed she was Ziggy and then had it confirmed when I was a little confused, so I looked at the cast on Wikipedia and got spoiled. So I don't think it's nearly as effective as Sam's identity last time, but hey, it's still a pretty interesting mystery narrative device. Looking for answers, Dina and Josh break into her house, almost being stabbed for their trouble. Of course, we know this, but we get flashbacks to her involvement in the past film with strange music, and feels just so unneeded. The people who complain about RTD2's flashbacks might have aneurysms here. Dina only just manages to get through to her as she tries to brush them off with some real generic dialogue, so they tie Sam to her bathroom radiator and they literally sit down on the ground, cross-legged for story time. As C takes a photo of her and her sister from a journal, giving us the title card. And while the title cards for these films are a little generic, I like the slight variations. Our foray into the 70s starts with a dude clotheslining Ziggy, and just the most stereotypically cruel and evil children torturing her. I mean, sure, she's a thief, but this little bitch needs serious therapy. Or just one of those very, very rare cases where a child needs the shit beat out of them. Ziggy is saved by the appearance of camp counselors. One decent and unskewed being Ted Sutherland as Nick Good, who the movie really wants to make sure you know will be the sheriff.
I'm sorry, I forgot. Thank you, King of Sunnyvale, future police chief Nick Good, for rescuing poor, helpless Shady Cider me.
The camp atmosphere is sold pretty well as setting up more of our counselors and the vibe in general. Hell, according to reports, it's even filmed in the same park where they shot Jason Lives, so you know they tried to hit the right atmosphere. In the setup shots, we see more generic counselors, played by the guy from Halloween 2018.
Their beautiful bodies got me all chubbed out, Allison. Allison, please,
And a girl that meets the tropes of flowery crystal girl and slutty strangely well. Along with those two are Ziggy's sister and her boyfriend Tommy Slater, played by McCabe Sly, cleaning out the witch's red moss from the toilet block, and him getting a little grabby for her liking. Cindy actually might have the best arc in the film, exploring the whole being true to yourself, because becoming someone else won't get you where you want to be or make you happy message better than with Dina and Sam. Yet, oddly, is the installment with the least amount of lesbians, so I think there's some sort of inverse ratio there to how well the message works and the lack or oversaturation of lesbians. I'm sure someone can write a college paper on it. We get to meet the last two members of the counselors, the layabouts, previous friends of Cindy before she began her preppy and clean era. And of course, they're going at it like rabbits, their pants almost teleporting onto them when interrupted. I think the whole horny summer campers trope helps sell the sex in this film, considering how poorly timed and kind of unpleasant it was in the last film, although to be fair, I'm not sure who's going into the Fear Street films looking for a pleasant sex scene. We have the generic stoner guy who I cannot remember the name of, and Alice, played by Ryan Simpkins, who is an asshole, but by the second half might be my favourite character in this film. Ziggy goes to get her wound treated with the nurse, probably the one person at the camp she doesn't despise, and finds a journal filled with occult shit. It turns out Nurse Lane is the mother of Ruby Lane, one of the killers from the last film. And the book is research on what happened, and she's not too stable about it. But to be fair, any mother whose normal child randomly pulled that shit would be in shambles too. Cindy finds Ziggy and they argue, Ziggy more caring about why Lane was upset instead of Cindy's dilemma. Thinking, thanks to their declining mother, caring far more about her chances at college than her sister's problems. Their dynamic making it clear that's how it's been for a while, with her fancy shirts and dropping her problematic friends to fit in like a Sunnysider. Although to be fair, Ziggy isn't being nice about it. I bet Cindy isn't so happy about not letting Ziggy check in with the nurse, as she's feeling a little unstable and goes out to murder Tommy because apparently he'll die anyway because she saw it on a wall. Now I like the way this goes. It's not explicit, but if you can put 2 and 2 together, you realise Tommy is going to be possessed next, as Sam's name was put on the wall right before she was possessed last film. No one other than Cindy and Tommy take the situation seriously, and the camp gears up for the Colour War, basically capture the flag between towns. Another thing Shadyside can never win at. Tommy ain't feeling too well, and Ziggy lays out in great detail that Cindy's happy fake view of the world is BS. And like, yeah, Ziggy's too harsh, but Cindy's just a real cunt about it. Cindy and Tommy go snooping in the infirmary, but as a way of getting back at Cindy, Alice takes the nurse's notebook filled with occult info, taking it into the forest where the nurse had been marking a map. While Cindy is pretty steadfast in her theory, it's all the drug's fault, which actually pays off well a little bit later when the druggie realizes they're just painkillers.
It's fucking Tylenol.
The book drip feeds info well, laying out the whole poem about the witch's hand being severed and giving her a grip over the town until the two are reunited. Hinted at well in the first film, but we didn't have nearly enough info then to put the pieces together. Mr. One Day Will Be the Sheriff checks in on Ziggy, and while not so much in the third movie, I like the chemistry these two have. There's still some animosity, but together in their revenge and when flirting later, even if once or twice it was a little jarring to go from plot and slashing to romance. And then there's the fact he just disappears for most of the third act since he gets injured. Sure, it's good to give the girls focus, but when he respawns right at the end, it just feels a little odd. Alice manages to lead them into the so-called witch's lair, including the secret area with the wall of names, as Cindy realizes her drug theory was bullshit. But of course, they find Tommy's name on the wall just in time for him to go full psycho, burying his trademark axe in Alice's boyfriend, and the two girls run further into the cave system, inadvertently blocking off their exit, leaving them underground, and Tommy free to flee and murder spree, much to their surprise. Meanwhile, Sunnyvale's Psycho is getting punked, and my only criticism is they should have played the best version of Don't Leave Me This Way.
Don't leave me this way. I don't understand. I'm at your command.
But it perfectly scores the little shit being covered in bugs, much to Ziggy and Nick's enjoyment. Cindy is still managing her optimism, much to Alice's dismay, and even if Alice is a little too defeatist, she's completely right. So I'm just thinking, Cindy, do something productive, either shut up or kiss her. The caves are wacky in construction, but thanks to the conveniently open notebook that I'm sure didn't land on that page earlier, they figure out the caves are in the shape of the witch's mark, the shape at the center of the altar in the name room. Tommy manages to make it to camp, starting his slaughter, while Nick and Ziggy flirt, and sure, the redeemable parts of Nick's character are barely touched upon in the other films, but here, even paired with what we learn about his family next part, I really like his characterization here. Much like the others trying to escape his role in things, but conversely to other characters, instead of denying who he really is and learning better like Sam and Cindy later, he goes the other way and fully commits to the life he doesn't want. Cindy and Alice do some bonding and come across a center point with a big, rancid, fleshy ball on the ground, giving Alice a terrible trip, first of all of the drug kind as she sees the previous killers and victims through the caves, and of the actually falling kind snapping her ankle in one of those bone sticking out shots that makes me gag. Yeah. Ziggy wants to go get her sister, but Nick and Gary go out to save some peeps, while everyone else just sits back and wonders if they're doing each other. But Ziggy realizes she's left Sheila in the toilet. Nah, I'd just leave her there. Meanwhile, in true camp slasher fashion, while the killer's running around, Flowery / Slutty is doing one of the other counselors, but her fun is ruined by Tommy, classic horror movie rules, get busy banging, get busy dying. Cindy finally comes to terms with her identity, still not gay somehow, but played well well as she helps Alice up and realizes if they follow the moss, they might just get to camp. Once again, well put together foreshadowing. Tommy kills some more kids and Ziggy has an argy-bargy with Sheila, the sound drawing the girls closer, and I love the final blow.
Shit. Her shouting, what's going on in here? What the fuck?
Ziggy realizes Cindy's down there, so with Gary's help, really didn't think he'd become useful, they start bringing them up, but thanks to Tommy interrupting, Alice is thrown onto her ass again. Jesus, can't she just get a break? She could probably do it with all that Tylenol right about now.
Fucking Tylenol.
Tommy comes after Ziggy and Nick, Ziggy running to the escaping bus after a pretty well done and tense fight scene. She escapes only for the bus to leave anyway. Alice is now the optimistic one, figuring out exactly how to get out thanks to the notebook, sending Cindy on ahead while she finds the witch's hand, which, much like her bones in the first movie, is piss easy to find since it's basically right next to her. Both Cindy and Ziggy make it to the mess hall, Ziggy having to fend off Tommy with another use of Kansas just to make the fight scene seem cooler, as Cindy tries to get in while Ziggy goes one-to-one with Tommy, getting him with a knife and fitting his memorable bag on his head, creating his shot from the first film, but thanks to Cindy's character arc, she manages to take him down. The sisters make up well, because I guess that's the character arc Netflix loves giving Emily Rudd, and Alice comes back not only with a jump scare, but the witch's bony hand. They realize reuniting the hand and the body will end the curse, relating back to the rhyme, but making the same mistake as Sam, Ziggy's nose starts bleeding, aiming all the previous killers to her, and us seeing where they come from, glooping out of the flesh pile, while Tommy reconstitutes and kills Alice right as she gets her big hero speech. Is this what the internet refers to as doomed Yuri? Cindy greatly severs Tommy's head, holy shit. So as the other killers start approaching, they dig up where they think the witch's bones are, but we know they're nowhere near, only finding a stone taunting them, the hand being left as they try to escape. But both of them are brutalized. Spoiled in part 1's Next Time trailer, so I wasn't too surprised. But Mr. Soon-to-be Sheriff comes along and somehow revives Ziggy. Pretty sure that shouldn't be possible, but okay. I'll make sure to remember that in real life when someone gets stabbed like 8 times. All I have to do is resuscitate them and they'll be fine. But of course, he betrays her by refusing to acknowledge the whole witch deal, betraying himself and becoming the role he didn't want. With both their info, Dina reckons they can finish what they started at the camp, heading over to the mall where the tree is now in the center of. Pretty clever integration. And Dina takes the hand to the body, but gets sucked into a flashback instead, teeing us up for part 3. And the trailer actually works a lot better here since it only spoils the first half of the film, not the second half. So that was the second of the Fear Street trilogy. Now of course I do have a couple of issues. The music is still being spammed even if used better here. Some of the characters fade into the background so much I can't remember their names until characters refer to them as such. See Sheila, guy from Halloween, flowery and slutty. But having a more concise story, less frustrating characters, and less awkward scenes, while not the peak of the summer camp slasher genre, the main story is really a solid slasher in its own right, and this works really cohesively with the last film, continuing the story and using the last movie's groundwork well to continue the mystery. This might just be my favourite of the bunch, but I'm still not really sold on the ending of Ziggy's story, so I'm going to give Fear Street Part 2, 1978, an 8 out of 10. Pretty good for what it is. I love the unfolding lore, but still has issues and I'm not confident the next part will surpass it. Thank you everybody for watching my review of Fear Street Part 2, 1978. Please like the video if you liked it, comment down below if you wish, consider subscribing to the channel and if you do, ring the notification bell so that you're told every single time that I make an upload. Once again, thank you for watching and I will see you in the next review. Bye!
Toast. A little piece of toast. Because there's so much to choose from. There's brown bread, white bread, all sorts of wholemeal bread. It comes in funny packages with writing on the side.